some of us end up in this situation alone, and we're kind of like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to do this by myself. It took two people to have this child, and here I am having to raise them on my own. Hey friend, welcome back to the Word of Wit. Today I'm going to be talking about life as a single mom. So this is going to be more geared toward other single moms or moms in general, because a lot of us have similar issues, similar things that we go through. We may feel alone, and then we may feel like no other mom is going through this or no one else understands, but many of us are going through very similar situations, and God has really given me a lot of different tools to be able to use to overcome some of the stresses that we may have and we may face as a single mom or a single parent in general, because I'm sure single dads go through some of these things, but obviously I'm not a single dad, so I don't know. But disclaimer, this video is not to bash anyone. This isn't to try to make any dads look bad, or, you know, it's not a reflection of my children's dad or anything. For the record, we are on good terms. By the grace of God, we have been able to co-parent since our divorce has been finalized. He has been helping a lot as far as getting the kids. We've had a few bumps in the road, but overall, it's been a blessing. So now that we got that little disclaimer out the way, I just want to say this has been a rough road. There is not a single parenting handbook that prepares you for everything that you have to go through. Yes, there are many books written on parenting, but obviously nobody has cracked the code, or else we wouldn't need a new book on it every single year. There would just be one book and we could all follow it. And of course, whenever they come up with this one book and this one parenting style and people try to switch to it, we learn 10 years later that it didn't really help, because then we have children that don't want to work or feel entitled, or they say too much of how they feel, whatever. So it's really hard to just know what to do as a mom and what really works. Should I gentle parent? Should I physically discipline my children? Should I put them on punishment? Like, how am I supposed to do this? Is my child crazy? Am I crazy? Like, am I doing too much? You know, all the questions that we go through as mom. And then there is the parenting side, where some of us end up in this situation alone, and we're kind of like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to do this by myself. It took two people to have this child, and here I am having to raise them on my own. So I have actually experienced that. After me and my ex-husband separated, there was a period of time where he wasn't getting the kids. He was still paying his child support, so that helped with the financial aspect of it, but there was so much more that they needed that I wasn't able to get from him, especially, you know, having just help with them and having somewhere for them to go so that I'm able to do the things that I needed to do, and really just having that help. But overall, it pretty much came down to me and the people who were willing to help, which was like my mom and my stepdad. They helped so much through this process. But there was a lot that was still left on my plate, because I am the one ultimately responsible for my children. So if my mom can't do it, or if their dad's not there, I am the one who it's all left on. And there were times where I was just bitter, if I'm being honest. I didn't realize it. I thought I was just speaking the truth, because I'm like, I didn't sign up to do this by myself. How am I here alone? Like, this is not fair. And seeing my ex-husband take vacations, and every time we would have a conversation just talking about all this stuff that's going on in his life, and how he has this going on and how he has that going on, which is all fine and dandy, all great. But I'm like, why didn't you take the kids on vacation with you? Why don't you come and get them? Like, it was hurtful, because for me as a mom, like, I couldn't. There's nothing that could keep me from my children. So seeing that, and, you know, not having him here, especially since we were married for 9 years, and he was pretty much in their life from the time, he was in their life from the time they were born up until we separated. And even sometime after that, it was like, how could you not be here? How could you miss all of this? How could this not be a priority for you? And it was just hurtful. So I had a lot of bitterness in my heart, and I know that women and men don't think the same. And I know that just because I feel this way doesn't mean that he's going to understand and all the things, whatever. But during that time, I really struggled with bitterness. So of course, when I started this journey, God had to uproot all of that. He had to get to the bottom of all of that. And he had to really show me that I could depend on him. So it actually kind of started with me praying for a stepdad and me trying to be out there looking for another man to be the man of my household, to take the role of stepdad, take the role of husband, and to handle a lot of the financial responsibility, because I'm like, I can't do all this by myself. But with time, God revealed to me that I'm not supposed to be doing it on my own anyways. And if I get another man, which I was legally married, so of course he wasn't going to send another man during that time. But if I had got another man, I would just do the same thing that I did in my marriage, which was idolize my spouse. And it's not really fair to the husband in the situation, because you're looking to him for everything. You're putting all your trust in him, all your faith in him, and it doesn't leave room for him to make a mistake. And it doesn't leave room for him to be human. It doesn't leave room for really much of anything other than me being let down, because obviously they can't carry all that weight. So I was idolizing people and trying to put a man in God's position. And when God revealed that to me, I was like, okay, so now I need to, instead of looking to my ex-husband to provide or to be there for them, I need to pray and ask God for a community. I need to pray and ask God to give me the strength that I need to keep doing what I need to do. I need to pray for provision. And it took me a few times, especially with the dating thing, it took me a few times to get over that, to get past that mindset of looking for someone else to come in the home and step in and help me. But I will tell you, it built my prayer life. It really helped me to start talking to God and start going to him for these things and stop looking to people, because at the end of the day, a person can leave. And even if they stay, they're still going to make mistakes. They still can't take the position that God has, and they shouldn't want to. Although some of them really do enjoy you looking to them for everything. They want to lead in every way, which leadership is good, of course, but it's whenever they overdo it, that's the problem. They want to control you. They want to manipulate you by saying they're not going to do things, or they're not going to do this, or they're not going to show up for you, or all these things that God wouldn't do. So I was finding myself in relationships where I was looking for all these things, and I just kept ending up unhappy. And it caused me to hurt other people, because I'm like, okay, you're not doing what I need. You're not being the man that I need you to be. You can't lead me. You can't provide for me, blah, blah, blah. But that was all because I'm not following God. So I'm hurting other people because I'm hurt, and because I'm not looking to the right man for the job, the right being for the job. So I wasn't looking to God for those things, because God can lead me to a husband who will be able to lead me into everything that needs to be done. But if I'm just trying to find it on my own, I look for worldly qualities, I look for physical things, and I don't see everything that I need to see. Versus whenever I'm looking at God and trusting him, he guides me in the right direction. But anyways, we can get caught up looking for a spouse, someone to fill all these voids in our lives, when God is really the person for the job. So as I started going to God for provision and for strength and for community and for help, he started to help me with all those things, but he also started to heal my heart. I started to grow and not be so much concerned about what their dad was doing. It was times where people would send me pictures and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't care, please don't send me that, because I really didn't care anymore. Like, we were taken care of, we were good, my children were good. God sent people into their lives to be role models. My dad has stepped in to be a male role model for them, and leaders in the community have stepped in to be male role models for them in their lives. So I wasn't even worried about that aspect of it. God literally provided for needs that I didn't even realize we had. And I was so grateful for that it just took away the focus of their dad. And then over time, I still noticed how it affected my children. So over time, I just grew, and I just began to pray for him and just pray that God would change his heart and that he would help him to focus on what's important and be there for our children. And whenever I would talk to him, he would always be focused on the money, and yeah, I'm trying to do this so I can have money left for them, and I'm trying to buy another house so I can leave a house to them. And I'm like, yeah, but 4 years have gone by. Yeah, but 5 years have gone by, and you haven't really been in their lives. Like, they're not going to care how much you leave for them if they don't even know you. So I just stopped talking about it and started praying about it. I just started trusting God with it and asking him to show him what's important and to open his eyes to see his children and see that they're growing and see that one day they're going to be too big. So anyways, fast forward, we got our divorce finalized in August of last year. And at the time of the divorce, we were able to come up with a parenting plan that worked for both of us. And he's been getting the children. So now they're actually able to experience that time with their dad, and I'm able to have time to myself every now and then. And I'm actually happy because they have a relationship with him and he's not just absent, and they're not dealing with those feelings of abandonment because he's here now. So while we may go through things as parents, we can always lean on God to give us the strength, give us the wisdom, and to lead us in the right direction, to bring along the people that we need. So if there is an area where you're lacking, where you see something that's going on, you are your children's covering. And yes, God made a plan. And yes, God originally created us to be two parents in the home, and for the mom and dad to be present with the child and for that balance to be there. But whenever it goes astray, we always have God as our covering. So whenever we're going to him and we're asking him to lead us and show us the way, we're able to cover our children. We're able to pray over them. And there are going to be times where your children do things and you're like, why did you do that? And you don't understand, and you have to go right back to the drawing board. But each step that you take with God, he will continue to show you the way. He will continue to lead you, and he will continue to lead you to new levels of prayer as well. So the battle that we fight is not carnal. We do not fight flesh and blood. It's the spiritual battle. So a lot of the things that we see manifest in the physical are a result of things that happen spiritually. So for me, there was a situation with my son last week, and I was like, what in the world was you thinking? And I gave him this whole speech, and God just convicted me afterwards, like, okay, yeah, you talked to him and all that, but did you pray for him? Did you pray about it? And so of course I began to pray then, and God began to show me things and just reveal where, there needed to be some prayer and some things that have been actually building up over the last few months since they've been going to their dads, where it's been a new transition as far as scheduling. We haven't been studying as much together. We haven't been spending time. There are times where they don't even get to go to a youth night at church and fellowship with people their age and at their age level. So yeah, all of these things happening and all of it kind of throwing our schedule off has really interfered with the spiritual growth of my family. So God invited me back into prayer just to cover my family and to ask for the strength to be able to continue to lead them in the right direction and teach them up in the way that they should go, and ask him for me personally so that I can know how to plan better, because our schedule is changing. Their dad is on a rotating schedule with his off days, so that means they go over there on different days every other week. So it's been really hard to really find a schedule that works, but God is helping me in that, and me praying over it, I've already seen the difference. One of my sons has already been talking about God more. He's already been studying on his own time and having Bible study with his friends, and leaning into his purpose and asking me questions and all of that. And I can just see the growth, put it like that. I can see the change. We're laughing more in the home. There's more peace in the home already. And this has just been a week since I realized and started back praying about it and covering my kids. So as parents, we hold a position of authority in our children's life, not just physically, not just because we're their parents, but spiritually as well. We are their covering, and we have to go to battle for them spiritually, because the enemy does not care how old our children is. If you read in the Bible, he killed all the newborn babies, the Hebrew babies, because he was scared of the Israelites growing too numerous and taking over. So he began to kill the Hebrew babies to stop them during childhood, before they were even a threat. And when you look at Jesus's life, King Herod literally had all the children under the age of 2 murdered, trying to kill the Messiah, because he was afraid that his throne would be threatened. So the enemy doesn't care. He doesn't care what age our children are. We know that there are many people who go through childhood trauma, who are molested or go through child abuse or emotional abuse, whatever, all different types of abuse. And it messes up their mind from childhood going forward, dealing with abandonment issues and all the things that can happen during our childhood that affect us in our adulthood. And of course, Jesus can heal all of that. He can bring us through all of that, but the enemy tries to get us before we even have an awareness of what God can do, so that we won't even seek him later on, so that we won't even know that there's healing available. And he doesn't care that our children are our children. All he cares about is bringing death and destruction to them. He doesn't care about any age. So we have to care. We have to battle spiritually for them. So anyhow, we'll talk about more of this stuff later on. Be sure to subscribe if this video has helped you. If you want to hear more about this, also let me know in the comments what you want to know about parenting. God has really placed it on my heart to speak about this more often. I know there are a lot of Christian influencers on YouTube, but not a lot of us talk about parenthood. And many of them don't even have kids or have really young kids. So with me being a parent of teenagers and having girls and boys and all that stuff, I have a lot of experience in that area. So I would be happy to talk with you all about that and talk with you about whatever you have questions over. So anyways, like I said, drop comments below. Let me know what you want to hear about. Also, if you have any tips, please be sure to share them in the comments below, because we are a community here. So I want all of us to be able to help each other. Anyhow, be sure to like this video, share it with someone else you think it may help. And as always, I love you. Be blessed, friends. See you soon.